Good morning. Well, I mean, it may not be morning wherever you are. We're here with another Community Spotlight series, and I'm here with Don. And Don, can you say your last name for me?
Yes, it's Florczyk.
See, I would have done it right. Okay, so Don Florczyk from the Flock Company. But you're so
Yes.
much more than just that. I'm going to dig right in today and get started. Our Community Spotlight series is a really special series because it introduces you to kind of the people behind the RV. But this one's a little bit different because Don does something a little bit different in the industry. So, most people that love camping, they just kind of keep it personal or with a couple friends. Don has turned this into a full blown event for what he does. And we're going to get into that. But what do you think, Don, that, got you started with RVing?
Well, I'm generally a very friendly person, outgoing. I love to talk to people, meet new people. I was in the military for 27 years, so I've traveled all over. I love traveling. I can't stay still. So RVing is the perfect way to do everything. So it
Agreed.
just, yeah,
I feel that. My husband's a retired Marine and we hit the road full time in 2013 and we really haven't looked back. We've been on the road traveling and rallies are a huge part of finding community. So, what
yes.
did you see as a gap in the industry that made you get involved with like more than just RVing?
Well, out there's not a lot of, there is now, but how to do things, how to repair. Everybody has their own opinion and you don't know what's 100% correct sometimes. So the best thing is get it right from the source. And a lot of times I hold these rallies, I have the manufacturers come in and will tell you, this is what we want. This is this, this is that. So that way you do it correctly. You're not listening to, your neighbor next door who's worked for him may not work for you with what you have.
Absolutely.
So
So let's dive into the flock because that's a whole thing. And I actually am in the process of writing a blog post about mascots. And so the Jaybird for Jayco, because you're with the
yes.
flock rally, and people
Yep.
might think that the flock would mean Airstream, but it doesn't in this case. So how
No.
did you name it the flock?
Well, I used to call it just Jayco owners rallies, and it would incorporate not just people assume just Jayco because of the name, but it's for any brand under the Jayco umbrella. It can be StarCraft, Open Range, Heartland, Integra Coach. They're all welcome. I used to call it that, and then after a couple rallies, I said, you know what? I got to make this a business. I got to make sure that if anything happens, I can't, I don't want to lose the house or anything else. So I couldn't use Jayco owners rallies because it's too close to just Jayco and I didn't need any issues there. So I'm like, I got to do it. What I got to do? And I went crazy trying to figure out a name. And somebody on Facebook had posted just out of the blue, "Hey, it's great being a part of this group. I feel like I'm one of the flock." So because
Oh, I love
because
it.
we have Eagles, Jaco Eagles, and they're like, "Hey, flock," and it just stuck. It and that was it.
That's awesome. So like I said, I'm doing this thing on mascots in the industry.
Yep.
And Jayco is actually the only one that has its own mascot that they created, not that the owners created. So the
Right.
Jaybird is kind of, a great analogy to that too. And so tell me a
Yes.
little bit about the rallies themselves. So what did you see in the industry that maybe you think that you were looking for that maybe other people needed also, other than
Well,
just the maintenance side of
right.
things? Because I'm guessing that
First,
a rally is more than just a day or 2.
oh yeah, yeah. They're usually about 4 days, 3 to 4 days, except for the one I have in Indiana, which of course is by the factory. That's a week long. And to be honest with you, I had an idea about rallies, never knew they truly existed until we happened upon one from another brand and we were invited over. This is how it all started. We were invited over and we had a good time. I mean, they welcomed us in. It was great. So I looked to see if Jayco did rallies so we could start attending, and Jayco didn't do rallies. They stopped doing them, I think, in 2019. So there was nothing for the Jayco community at all. It was just people would get together every so often. I'm like, I see a need for this. Like I said, it goes back to figuring out maintenance, getting work done on your rig if you needed work done. So I'm like, okay, my wife told me no. And of course, I don't listen to her. Like most men, I don't listen. Like, I see a need for this. And it's amazing the support that's been out there with not just the people, but the manufacturers coming in to get their word out on how to perform things. The first rally I ever held, Jayco showed up and they did a couple seminars on maintenance, and people were just, you see their mouths wide open. I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know I had to do that. And it just, from there, it's just snowballed. And now it's to the point now where last rally in Indiana, the big one, Jayco actually showed up with their customer improvement team for the whole week. They were out there just talking to people what they can do to help make their products better. And then the last day, the product, the head from each line of the product development teams, the toy hauler line, the travel trailer line, the fifth wheel line, they all came out and they sat down and did a Q&A for an hour, and people were giving them ideas on, hey, this is nice, but I think this would work better. Why don't you do it this way? So that was it opened up a lot of eyes as to what people are looking for and what the RV manufacturers are providing. So I think it's you're going to see more of what people want in RVs now coming in. It's going to close the gap between what manufacturers put out and what people actually want.
That's awesome. So when you do these rallies, you're affiliated with Jayco, but are there like SRTs, like some of the brands will bring in techs to actually do repairs at the time of that? Do you guys have that as well?
Our smaller rallies, I'll have repair techs out there. Like I have the Cavalry RV, Rob and Jenna Zomach. They come out and they work on like air conditioning, electrical side and stuff. And then I'll have other companies come out that do suspension work and stuff, and they'll do that. But when it comes Indiana time, because it's the big one, Jayco actually comes out with their service team, and they'll do service work
Nice.
for the units out there. Dometic comes out and will do work. BAL Slide comes out. Lippert comes out. All the big players come out for that one, and you can set it up weeks before. I'll put out, hey, these people are coming out. What do you want done? And then I will contact them and set up all their appointments and everything. And even more ride comes out, and they'll have show specials, and you get free installation on your parts except for suspension. So I mean, the Indiana one is a big one, and all the major players come out there. But all the rallies, I try to have some kind of maintenance in progress for people, because things happen
That's
on the way to
awesome.
rallies as well that you may need something done.
Absolutely. Well, you don't know what
Yep.
you don't know till you don't know it. Like,
Yes.
and that's one of the, education is a huge part of what we do, not just the learned RV side. And it's one of those things that is kind of my heart project in terms of, helping people find those
Yes.
connections. And so like, let's talk about like, how would somebody like, are you sold out at all your rallies for the season?
I Nope. I actually have a it's kinda down this year in terms of attendance, and I think people are just waiting to see how the economy goes, because it's kinda touch and go here and there. But if I sell out with what I have booked, the campground will always open up more for me. I've never had a
Oh,
bad
nice.
campground. Yep, I've never had a bad campground. They've always said, "Okay, we will only reserve this, but we got 10 more. We'll open up those 10 for you." I'm like, "Okay." So where there's a will, there's a way. We will find a way to get you in if you wanna attend.
So where are the locations for the rallies this year?
Okay, this year we're starting in June in Canada. We're going up to Cherry Valley. We're going to stay at Quinty's Isle Camp Park. And then from there in July, we're going to New York, where I am, in the Finger Lakes area. And we're staying at Pine Creek Campground. And then September starts the fun part. I'm going out to Kansas, Waukene, Kansas. And then from there,
Wow,
I'm going to Utah. And then from Utah, we're hitting Indiana. And that's all within like a 4-week span.
that's a big loop.
That is a big loop.
And
Luckily,
and you're doing all of them, yes?
yes, I
So
am the
this
only
isn't
one
like
that does
your
this.
teams are doing these rallies, it's you heading these all up.
It's me, all me. My wife helps when I'm home. She helps get things together as much as she can. She doesn't get a lot of vacation time, so she unfortunately can't attend all these. But I have to give props to everybody out there in the flock. They more than step up every time I show up. They're like, "Okay, what do you need us to do? What do you want to do?" They could run it for me. I wouldn't have to show up. They can run it. They're great people.
That's incredible. All right. So on any given day, getting into camping, I met you in
Mhm.
Tampa. So,
Yes,
how do you get the word out for the flock as far as, obviously coming on a podcast is a benefit. And we already have all of the flock events listed on our events page on Learn
yes,
to RV, and we'll
yep.
have them in the show notes where and when they're happening. So they'll have a couple different ways to find them once this podcast airs. But, where do you think that the best campground that you've ever done a rally at was? And I mean, you don't have to shout out the specific campground, but it's just one of those fun things to, kind of have an idea.
Yes. Well, actually, I I was thinking about that earlier today. The best place I've ever been, and I gotta give it to Jess and the ladies there, the Ridge Camp or, was it the Ridge Outdoor Resort in Sevierville, Tennessee. The place is just incredible, and they treat you like gold. It's immaculate. I got there in the middle of the night, got my site and everything. Next morning, I woke up and I was walking around. I FaceTimed my wife, and I'm like, "Look at this." I go, "I think I'm staying at a premier golf course." The grass was manicured perfect. All the sites had pavers on it, so you parked on nice level paver sites. It was beautiful, and the building to hold the rally is a modern church that has been redone. So when you go in there, usually I have to travel with all my sound equipment and everything, but there they have huge screens on the ceilings on each side. They have a huge sound system. It's just the place is incredible, and I like this so much. We're going back there every other year now. That's one of my only places I will go back to. It's a beautiful area. The campground. My son and his girlfriend live in Nashville, and they came to visit me during
Oh,
the rally
that's
'cause I
not
don't get
too
to see him
far.
much. No, and he pulled up and he called, and I'm like, "You lost?" He's like, "No." He goes, "Well, maybe." He said, "I thought you said we were at a campground," and I'm like, "Well, where are you?" He goes, "We're at a place called the Ridge," but he goes, "It's not a campground." I looked at the visitor center. I see his car. I go, "Yeah, you are." He said, "Just come on up this little hill." He come in. He goes, "This is not a campground," because he's used to the regular types of campground. He's like, "This is not." They loved it. It's just like I said. Shout out to Jess and the ladies there. It's an incredible place.
That's awesome. All right. So now I'm going to go to the other side of that.
Well,
So, being a rally coordinator comes with kind of the best of things and the worst of things. What would you say your worst rally idea ever was?
that I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't. I've never done rallies before this, so what I do is I go out to the people. I have the business Facebook page. I have a private Facebook page, and then I have each rally has its own individual private Facebook page that people come into when they're signed up for the rally. So that way, only the people at the rally get to have input. And I don't decide anything. I said, "Hey, what is everybody looking for?" And they tell me. So I don't know if there's really been anything that's been horribly bad. Well, I will say I got one comment. People told me I have too much entertainment. They'd rather have more social gatherings than entertainment. So I've cut that back.
Interesting.
Yes, Indiana 2 years ago, I had live entertainment every night. We opened up Monday was a meet and greet and everything. Tuesday night, I opened up with an individual who was in a Beatles tribute band, the number one Beatles tribute band in the country. They traveled all over the world, and then they had a stint in Vegas. He played Paul McCartney. He came in, and he was actually camping with us at the rally. He owned a Jayco, and he came in on Tuesday night and played.
Oh, neat.
Wednesday I had a 3 comedian show come in and perform. Thursday I had an individual, John Rush, who's called the Human Spotify because this guy's incredible. He's got 85 hours of music in his head that he plays, and you pick what you want to hear, and
Wow.
he plays it. Yep. And then to close it out on Friday, I had a 4-piece Southern rock band come in and play, and they told me it was too much entertainment, and it just kind of blew my mind. But I'm like, okay, so now I've cut it down, and we do more interactive stuff, game night and stuff. But yeah, that's probably the not the worst, but the most bizarre thing, I guess I could say that somebody has said to me. I
That
never
is
thought there'd be too
interesting
much
though.
entertainment. Yes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, a lot of people want to go to a rally for the
Yes.
entertainment side.
Yep.
And but yeah, I think that that's a viable. I think that that's the shift though, right? In the community, is that the
Mhm.
culture of RV life has changed. And so, as long as you're willing to shift with those changes and kind of do, I'm going to use a military term, but you'll understand it. The rest of them probably may not, but like an after action report, so to speak, to
Yes.
see what
Yes.
worked well, what didn't work well, what would you
Mhm.
want to change for the next event. And I love that you're open to all of that,
Yes.
so that's just really neat to me.
Yep, and I do. I actually put out a survey at the end, and I give people a few days to complete the survey. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see different? What would you like new that we haven't done before? And surprisingly, I tried potluck at a couple rallies at first, and I'm like, so I didn't do it at the next one. And people, we want the potluck back. Okay, so now we have a potluck at every rally. So I go by with what the people want. I don't sit there and say this is my rally. This is how it's going to be. No, it's for everybody. And if I have people that come out and say, "Hey, I just saw this vendor at a show, you should contact them." Okay, I look into them and I contact them. "Hey, you were brought to my attention by a member. Would you like to attend a rally?" And stuff. So I listen to everybody and I do what they want to do. It's not necessarily my rallies; it's everybody's rallies. I just happen to coordinate them.
I love that. So let's talk about underrated RV destinations. Now, it's hard to underrate anything, but where would you say is an area of the country that, people don't think to go do something that ends up being like this hidden gem?
Well, I haven't really traveled that much yet. Working full time and everything else, I usually only just travel from spot to RV or
Rally to
rally
rally?
spot to. Yes, thank you. So I haven't really had much time, and the time I
I
do
feel
have is
that.
spent just in New York. Because my wife, again, we only have little weekend trips, so I really couldn't tell you what I would consider hidden. Although I will tell you, I never knew about Letchworth State Park until
That is a good one.
somebody mentioned it, and I went down and I'm like, it's a huge park. Oh my God. If you haven't experienced Letchworth, you have to go.
And Letchworth in the fall is just absolutely incredible. My
Yes.
husband and I actually grew up in upstate New York when we were kids, and we both left. Well, he left by the time he was 18 when he joined the Marine Corps. I left by the time I was 21. And so between the two
Mhm.
of us, we left and didn't really look back. But I would say that New York's pretty underrated. I don't think we talk
It
about
is.
how great New York State is as a whole because everybody associates, like, we grew up in Rochester, which is
Yep.
upstate, but people are like, "Oh, you're from New York City." No, I'm
Mm.
8 hours from New
And
York
then
City.
I
I'm
tell I say,
nowhere near New York City.
there's a whole nother state attached, and people don't realize that. When my wife and I
Yeah.
first got married way back in the dinosaur age, we were in Colorado. I was at a military school for my job, and I finished. She came out to Colorado to visit for a vacation, and we were actually on a bus for touring the Coors Brewery. And everybody was like, "Hey, don't let us know where you're from," and everything else. So they went around the bus, and it got to us, and I said, "Hey, we're from New York," and everything else. We actually had people slide away from us. And they're thinking the city and everything else. And I'm like, no, wait a minute, people. There's a whole nother state attached. We actually have cows and fields and all this stuff. And they're just looking at me like I have two heads. And I'm like, New York is not just New York City. There's a lot attached to it.
Well,
So,
and I
but
mean, New York City is amazing by itself, but there's not really any campgrounds, a lot of them anyways, inside the city. So, I mean, if you're
no,
gonna go to New York City from a campground, you've gotta plan to travel in. And so have a
yes.
plan and all that stuff. And, I think people just don't realize all of those things. Okay, so I have another blog coming out soon about, making friends on the road. Actually, I think it went up yesterday. That one, what would you say is the connection point at a lot of these rallies? Obviously, you're all the same brand, but is this something where people come back year after year to see their friends, or is this you have a whole new influx of people every year?
Oh, no, it's a mix. It's probably more now people coming back to see their friends. When they sign up and they register, there's a comment section, and they put, "Please put me with so and so, so and so, and so and so." And I know who's connecting with who because they've never knew each other until the rally, and I see these connections now, and it's great. And then on Facebook, a lot of them have friended me on Facebook, and I'll see they're actually meeting in a common place outside rallies and stuff, and they've made friendships that I think are going to last a long time, and it's awesome to see.
What about for you? Have you made any friendships that you were surprised by on the road when you do these rallies? I mean, yes, you have lots of people that come alongside you. I get that,
Yes,
but as the
yes.
organizer, sometimes it's a lot to have that all on you. So, do you think that you've made friends alongside all of the people?
Oh yeah, I've made a lot of friends, a lot of good friends doing this. But in particular, there's one I never thought would happen that is just it's amazing. And you know them, Paul and Jen from Clean Tank on the Road #2. They showed up to
Yep.
my very first rally. I didn't know what to expect. I never even knew that you had to have your tanks cleaned out and stuff. And we started there. It was a good rally for them. We got a friendship going, and it's just never stopped. And they're one of my best friends now. They really are. They come to all the rallies.
Yeah, so Paul and Jen have kids. So does that mean that, everything that you guys are doing is pretty family friendly? Obviously, as vendors, we know that there's not going to be something necessarily for all of our kids every time. But I mean, you're open to families coming. That's super important as well.
Yes, and because I keep a running log of how many adults, how many kids, how many dogs, how many cats. People think I'm crazy, but I'd like to know that stuff. And if I have kids coming in, I'll do kid friendly things. In Connecticut last year, we had a few kids show up. I did a movie night. We watched Cars. People
Oh,
brought
nice.
popcorn and everything else. So I try to incorporate things for kids when kids show up, especially in the summer rallies. I don't leave them out. I try to leave nobody out. So the dogs and cats, we'll usually have Jayco bandanas we can hand out to the dogs and cats. I would do treats, but I know some people are particular about treats, so I try to
Yeah.
stay away from those things. But no, I try to incorporate everything: kid friendly, dog friendly, cat friendly. I don't care if you got a hamster or a lizard, bring them along. I'm a huge
I
pet
love that you're
person.
thinking of that though. There's so many organizers that don't even consider some of those things. So I want to jump to like your rig. So
Mhm.
how long have you been traveling in your rig and what kind of rig do you have? Obviously it's a Jayco, I'm guessing.
It is a Jayco, and it's a 319 MLOK, and I bought it
Oh,
new in
I
20.
love that. So here's a funny piece of information for you. So I always joke that only certain brands know their model number and most of them are never Jayco. And so that's impressive. Just let me say that to start with.
Yep. And my wife, she picked it out. I don't have a say when it comes to that stuff. She does not like what we call the standard floor plans. It's got, the couch on the back wall and the theater seating next to it. She just that's not her. She likes the different kind of stuff. And this has the rear kitchen and everything else. So that's what I have.
Nice.
Yep.
And
And
so,
actually,
when you head out this fall, will you be hauling that with you to all the rallies?
yes, that comes with me. And it's kind of, and I hate to say it, but it's kind of a good thing that my wife only gets a few weeks vacation because when I haul out for rallies, the camper is loaded and the truck is loaded so much, there's no room for even a passenger. The truck
Oh,
is
wow.
front and back seat is loaded up to the ceiling. The bed has got stuff all on it. I actually have stuff going down the hallway on the floor and on the couch and the theater seats and everywhere else because I'm coming with door prizes. I'm coming with everything. The basement's full. There is no room. So if she wanted to
Yep.
attend, like when she attends Canada this year, she'll probably follow behind me in the car.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So she does come to some of them.
She will come to like one, maybe two a year if she can. This year she's actually going to make it to Canada and New York, and it's funny because people are actually waiting to see her because they don't believe I'm married. 'Cause she's only been to two rallies so far, so they don't think they. Every time I talk about it, they're like, "Oh, his made up wife," and I actually FaceTimed her one time on the screen and go, "Hey, look, this is my wife." Everybody, and they're like, "Hey, how much did he pay you to say you're his wife?" So I'm actually going to have her
So
out there and she's gonna hate it, but I'm gonna be like everybody. This is my wife.
So my friend Robin, actually, her husband's a pilot, and so
Yep.
we'd travel. She was a full-time traveler for a bunch of years, and she would be like, "Hi, I'm Robin. These are my 3 kids, and this is Phone Chris. He's a pilot." And so she'd hold up her phone so everybody could see Phone Chris. And so when you got a real Chris sighting, that was a big deal. But Chris is a super introvert, and so is your wife like that as well, or is she
Oh
really,
yeah.
super outgoing?
No, no, no. She's really to herself. She cringes every time I stop to talk to people. She's like, "Oh God, no." And she just stands there. She'd rather be sitting in the camper reading a book or sitting outside and at the camper just minding her own business reading a book. And I'm just out blah 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 talking to everybody. And she's just
So
like
for us
just
super extroverts, it sounds like you and I come from the same, category. But for those people that don't know, if you're friends with an introvert, make it easier for them. So I was actually at dinner one time and my girlfriend who's an introvert said to me, "I always love going with you because you'll help carry that conversation when I'm not comfortable with it. But know that when an introvert's ready to talk, they'll open up and they have so much to say." The other
oh
thing you
yeah.
don't want to do to an introvert, and I learned this the hard way, is don't knock on their door. Text them first, let them know you're coming so they can be prepared for that. And so I'm sure your wife is very much like that. It's been 13 years of traveling with some of my friends that are introverts that makes me understand some of that now that I never understood before because I was that person that, "Oh, you have kids running around? I want to get you connected. Let me knock on your door."
Yep. She is.
And
But once she gets to
um
know you, she opens right up
yes.
and it's like you've been best friends forever. So
Yep, and I'm sure she has so much to share and so much knowledge to give that, it's just getting her comfortable in those spaces, and being alongside of somebody that's a super extrovert, that's kind of the host of the rally, has its own set of challenges. I know because my husband runs into that.
yes.
So, but yeah,
You'll
that's
see she'll a
awesome.
lot of times she'll sit in the back and just be by herself. And people will kind of be like, "Who is this person?" until they find out who she is. When our kids were younger, we were in Pop Warner football and cheerleading, and I was actually a coach for my son's team. And she sat way back in the back of the bleachers, just cringing, just like, "Oh, God," every time she's like, "Don't say nothing. Don't just." So people went to half the season, almost the whole season, not knowing she was my wife. They just thought one of her kids was on the team and she was just sitting in the bag being by herself. They never knew.
That's funny.
Uh,
That's crazy. All right. So, what's next for the flock? I mean, I know you've got rallies coming up and
yes.
you work a full-time job too. So, I mean, like you do double duty. This is a heart project just like, Learn to RV is for me. But what's next?
Well, I got to get through the next 18 months and then I will be retired. And my wife and I are going to go full time. And we're going to actually
Oh, nice.
explore the country and we'll see those hidden gems now. And we'll be doing rallies along the way. I think we're going to have to
That is
upgrade to a toy
awesome.
hauler. But yeah, and of course, it'll be a Jayco brand toy hauler. And then we'll just keep doing rallies and going up and down the country. And maybe the wintertime, we'll hold some rallies down south. And of course, in the summertime, we'll hold them up north. And my goal is to actually get out to the West Coast and every year I've gotten a little closer, a little closer. Like next
You're
year,
getting pretty close this year with Utah.
yeah, next year it's in or no, Wyoming next year, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but 2028 I'm looking at probably Nevada, maybe into California. So I'll have reached the goal by 2028 of being across the country because I'll been retired. And then from there, it's just you can expect to see them all across the United States and into Canada. So probably
That's
four,
fantastic.
maybe five a year that I'll be doing.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, I'm so excited. We're so glad to have met you this year. Being at Tampa, meeting people is kind of my jam. But the
Yes.
reality is, there's so much out there that people just don't know about. And so that's why we started the podcast was to give people those informational sessions so that they
Right.
could learn very easily where to go, how to get connected, and that, you don't have to be connected everywhere, but you can be connected in more than one place. So, I
Hmm.
talk a lot about Family RV Association. We're a vendor in the space. So we do a lot of rallies, brand rallies, you name it. So it's one of those things that, the big companies like Escapees and FRVA who have been doing one or two rallies a year for years and years and years, those are getting smaller and people are looking for better connections. And so I think the flock has something very special in that way. Being with your same brand has its own set of benefits too. But at the same time, you don't have to be limited to just going to a flock rally. If you're looking for a rally near you, you can join something like Family RV Association, and who knows? Maybe they'll open up, a branch just for Jayco in there. I don't know
Hmm.
if Don could take on anymore, but maybe there's somebody out there that likes organizing those meetups that's one of your people that wouldn't mind
Yeah,
hosting a section at a bigger rally. So, I mean, there's lots of opportunity for connection wherever you go.
there is.
Yeah.
And
All
one thing
right.
I will tell
So,
you, one thing I'll tell you quick about the rallies as well.
no, no, I was going to give you a total wrap up. So you're good.
Okay. I do something also a little different in the fact that, a lot of manufacturers can't make it out to every rally all the time.
Yep.
So, like we're talking here online through podcast, I actually have it set up where some vendors, if they can't make it, they will actually come in and do a session virtually. And it's a question and answer session. It's live. I have microphones in the audience. People can ask a question to them. They will answer back. They, of course, had their slideshow and their presentation first. So it's like being there, and people kind of at first were like, but after the first one happened, they're like, this is awesome. They're seeing vendors that you never thought you'd see. And like,
Yeah.
that's an option for me too, if vendors want to do that. It's just the more I can get out to everybody, the better everybody's going to be, the smoother their RV trips are going to be. And we've all had those trips where it hasn't gone so well. And I'm trying to minimize that effect. That's,
Absolutely. But
yep.
that's really neat. I was actually just invited to be on one of those yesterday for an event that I can't be at. We're sending one of our teams up there to the
Hmm.
event, but he didn't have time to do a seminar last year. And he's a tech and he knows his stuff, but he's not a public speaker. And so one of the things said is, I really wish that you and Frank could be there. And I said, well, we can't. I said, but we could send you a video or something. And they're like, well,
Yep.
would you do that live? And I'm like, well, yeah, I would totally do that live. That's not a
Yep.
problem. In fact, I had a person tell me last year I needed an AI of me. And I'm like, I do not need an AI of me. That is not something that's ever going to happen. But, I'm happy to answer questions about things.
Yep.
Obviously, if we have a tech that's in the area that is part of our show teams, we do send people to rallies across the country. As our company's grown, we've had to. I mean, that's just the reality. And what's nice about that is we actually can do a roof inspection right on site where people can see what's
Yep.
going on their roof with pictures, whether they choose us or not. And so I say that, and I don't say that lightly. I know that that sounds trite, and I know that sounds like, but the truth is, even if they're not ready that year, a lot of times they'll come back to us because we did take the time, we did do the
Right.
things. And so, that's it's building relationships. And so, not everybody's going to be your buyer the first time you go to a rally. And that's true of rally goers too. Not everybody's going to go to a rally, their first experience on the
Hmm.
road. But I think the longer you RV, the more connections you need. And as
Yes.
you make those connections, you've got people like Don out there putting himself on the line, building this community. And it is because you're putting yourself right out there. And so I just want to say thank you for that because it's
Oh,
it's a
thank you.
special role and not everybody can do that. So, any final words that you'd love to share to the audience that, how to get involved, your website, how to, all of
Yes.
that stuff, how to connect with you? This is your time to shine.
If you want to connect, the easiest way is to go to our website at www.theflockrvrallycompany.com. On there, we'll list all our social medias, the private page, the business page, our YouTube and Instagram. If you have any questions, just anybody has any questions, just email me. Email link is on the website. It's everywhere. You can message me. I will get back to you as soon as I can, usually during the day. It takes a little bit because I do work, but I will always get back to people, and the people are surprised that it's usually within an hour that I get back to them, because I know I was in that position one time where people just don't answer, and it's
Yep.
frustrating. So I,
Yep.
I do what I can to get back to everybody, and I answer the question as best as I can. And there are times I've had a full blown conversation for 3, 4 hours with somebody through email with just questions they've had. And it doesn't matter. As long as we get their questions answered, I'm happy. But
Yep.
yeah, just check us out. If you like what you see, attend a rally. I guarantee you'll probably come back over and over and over again after that. And one thing too is a lot of people are like, well, I have a Jayco brand, but my friend has a different brand. I'd love to attend with them. Well, let me know. Say, hey, we have this. And a lot of times I will let people in that don't own a Jayco brand because they're traveling with friends that do. And they'll get the same benefits and the same experiences as everybody else. Everybody gets treated equal, no matter what brand you have. Because in the end, we're all RVers. It doesn't matter
Yep.
what you buy. We're all there for the same purpose.
I
And
love that. That's
just
awesome.
come and be ready for fun, because every rally is different. I try to make everyone different so people don't get stagnant. Seminars are different. Some may be, a couple may be the same, but for the most part, seminars are different. And if you don't think we have fun, in Tennessee, we went whitewater rafting. What an experience. I can't wait to go
That's
back. It
awesome.
was probably the best time I've ever had.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Don, for taking the time with us this week. And if you're interested, don't forget to stop over at the Flock to go see his website and all of that stuff. Ask him a question. I think he's kind of one of those tell-all guys, except what's happening at the rally, so he can get you there. But
Yep.
once you go, I mean, if you have a great time at a rally, we'd love to hear about it at Learn to RV. If you're willing to even write a blog post about your experience at one of Don's rallies, we'd love to showcase that on learntorv.com, right on the blogs there. And so anybody that's a writer can do that. And so a real honest experience. We'd love to support Don in his endeavors going across the country, because it's no small stack to go do what you're doing. So thanks again for joining us on Learn to RV the podcast and our community spotlight series, and we'll see you down the road.
All right. Thank you for having me.